Welcome, 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 my friends, wherever in the world you are. Tonight, we're talking about three topics that have been undergoing changes in Spain recently. So there's holiday rental tax, and then taxes, that's property taxes, and the immigration amnesty. We'll be talking about that again, like we did last week, and I've made a few videos about it, but it's a hot topic, and we'll get the legal perspective on it today. So to help us, I'll be joined by our regular legal expert, that's Charisse from CPG Abogados. She's here to help give you the legal facts and the answers to all of your questions. We'll help you all the way through so you can do the Spain thing too. You're very welcome to YouTooSpain. And here's the theme tune. Zoom. That takes your head off when you're wearing headphones. That's powerful and groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome Charisse from CPG Abogados. Hola, Charisse.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. And you?
I don't know if I have to say Happy New Year.
Yeah. Feliz año.
Feliz año. Feliz año.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Happy to be with you again.
Yes, and we've been going through the floods here. Are you getting a lot of that in? Where are you based? Marbella, is it?
Yeah, and I think that for this year we have a lot of news. So I think that's very good to be with you again for this 26.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see if there's anybody on the live chat and say hello to them. Nobody's checked in yet and said anything, so we'll speak to them as they go along. So if you're there on listening live, I know there's at least 10 of you and people are joining rapidly. So give us a wave, say hello on the chat, tell us where you are, make yourself known. And just before we dive into today's topics, a quick mention of my radio show. I've just been interviewing Joe Quinn, who's quite a famous Scottish musician, and he'll be choosing his top 10 tracks and answering 10 questions from me, designed to find out what makes him tick. And it's quite a funny interview. And that will be broadcast live to the whole of the world at 10 o'clock till midday on Friday, this coming Friday, the 13th of February, and that's on nercagoldradio.com. There is a link in the video description below. And don't forget, there's a new channel for relaxation videos called Still Space Journeys. That's one that I've been putting out recently. I'm on week 5, and there's lots of helpful videos with music to help you sleep or meditate or focus. Check out the channel and subscribe. The link is below. Okay, then, let's get straight onto the subject and dive into the topic. We'll do the holiday rentals topic first. So, Charisse, when people hear new rules for holiday rentals in Spain, what's really changing right now?
It's true. I think that we are in a complicated situation now. I think that I was with you the last year, and we were talking about the new regulation that we had in that moment. But for this year, we have more. I think that the prognostic and the general room is that the law is very, very strict, and the future is more restricted now. We have a new regulation that we have to do before the end of February. It's the people or the company, obviously, that has already a license and has a number from the register, the number that you put in Airbnb or Booking, and it's obligatory to rent. Now we have to make a new application just to inform the administration, the guests that we had in 25. What happened if you didn't have any rent in 25? You are in the same situation. You have the obligation to make the application and to do the declaration that you didn't rent that property in 25. So this is another thing that we have to do. We have to go to the register. We have to put the names and the numbers of the guests that you had, the timing, the day when you...
Oh, you dropped out there a minute. Just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. You dropped out. You're back again.
Waiting for the host to... Okay. Yeah, now?
Yes, you're there. Yeah.
So it's a new application that we have to do. Is more information for the administration. They want to have the more information that they could have, and obviously is one thing more that the people or the company that has a property with the purpose to rent, they have to do.
Okay. So there's
And this
so
is
is
very
it
important to make this application at the end of February or before at the end of February, because if not, you can lost your NRU number. That's very important, because if not, you cannot go into Airbnb, Booking, or any other platform.
okay? So was this not a national system before?
No, this
No.
is a new one. It's the last year we were talking about this registration number that we had, or we needed to go for Booking or for Airbnb, and now it's for short term and tourist license. For short term, for example, if you are renting for 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, it's obligatory also, and it's like give information to the register about the guests that you had. Obviously, everybody has the obligation to send the police the numbers and the passport and everything when you have a new rent. But this is totally different. So obviously, is more things that the people needs to do.
Excellent. So it's being enforced more. What was the
Yeah,
term used? Actively. That's it. It's not just written down on paper. Yeah.
exactly.
Excellent. Let's just say hello to Diane. She says hola and good evening to you both. Thank you. And okay, so next question. Can you explain the issue with homeowners associations? Because I believe this is confusing a lot of people at the moment.
Okay, with the community of property, the problem that we have now, that is they have the decision, the final decision, what happened with your property. Before of the law, I think that this law was in April of 25. You can go directly to your town's hall or the Junta de Andalucía to get your license and to put in Airbnb, Booking, or any platforms. After April 25, you need a confirmation, a certificate from the community of property that you are allowed to put your property and for tourists. What's the problem? That the community, I don't know why the community are changing a lot the status of the rules of the community, and normally they are making a restriction about this. What happened if you have one license before of this, and now you have a restriction from the community? This is a very, very good point, because this is our defense, and we have claims in the court actually, because sometimes some registers say no, but now your community doesn't allow the license for touristic, and you say, yeah, okay, but maybe my license is 10 years ago, so I have my license in by law, and I can't rent the property. So this is the problem that we are having now, and sometimes with some clients we have to go to the court, because obviously I think that we are right, and we have the rights to rent. Imagine the persons or company that have properties to rent because they receive incomes from that, and now they can't from one day for they can't make any publication in Airbnb or Booking, and they're having economical problems, obviously.
Crazy. Okay.
That's totally crazy. The problem is that now they have more power than before. 1 year ago, you don't need the authorization, the certificate, and they don't have sometimes the rules very clear, and sometimes they don't do the certificate that we need. So we are having some problem with that.
Okay. By the way, everybody, if you want to get in touch with Charisse for legal advice after the show, then there is a link in the video description below, and I'll also, at the end of this show, I'll pin those details at the top of the comments, so you can always find it. And there's also a special offer from CPG at the moment for watchers of this show. That if you've been watching the show recently, you'll have seen that. But what I'll do is I'll play the little video again and tell you all about it. So here it comes. There you go. Very, very good. You all look very happy in the office.
Yeah, of course. We have a very good atmosphere.
Brilliant. And of course, everybody, don't forget there's a QR code in the corner up here somewhere, I think, and as well as a super link in the video description below where you can buymeacoffee.com, and you can find that link. And if you learned something of value to you today, or if you've been entertained, then use that link and you can get to the site where you can donate a cup of coffee or 3 or 5 or whatever number you think today's show is worth to you. Okay, let's continue then. The next question, let's see. So if someone is buying a property to rent short term, what's the first thing they should check?
Okay, if the client comes to me and say, Charisse, I want to invest in Spain, I'm planning to buy a property, but my plan is to go with a short-term rent or tourist purpose, obviously we need to do a very good due diligence before to buy, because with the situation that I told you before, I think that at the moment we need to study that situation, like the most important things to do. So normally the thing that I used to do is go to the register just to clarify the status of the community of property, if that community allow or not the rental situation in that community, and speak with the community directly. So my client wants to buy that property. It's possible to rent for touristic license. It's possible for short term. What's the situation that we have now? So, and it's very good point, because I think that this is 4 or 5 months before we had a very good resolution that, for example, if we buy a property with a license, so this property already has a license, it's possible to make a change of the name of that license. So it's very good, for example, if you are going to buy or if you are going to sell, to take in account that if we have a license, we can make the change, and everything it's easier, obviously. So this is a very, very good point that we have to take in consideration if you are planning to buy a property. And of course, if you are going to sell your property and the value of the property is higher because you have that license that now is very, very complicated to obtain sometimes.
Yes. So it's very important to get this sorted out in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super important, and to check if the license are correct or not, what's the community say, what the law in the register is allowed or not. So I think that the due diligence about this is important to do if you want to rent the property.
Yeah. You don't want to discover it after you've completed,
exactly.
Do you?
Yeah, because the situation changed, and you know that the rental contract in Spain, if you don't rent short term or touristic, you have to go to long term, and long term is 12 months and maximum renovation for 5 years obligatory. So the situation changed a lot.
There you go. Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned the national registration number. Tell us a bit more about that.
This is the national registration number. This is the number that I told you that is from the register. It's necessary for the booking, the Airbnb. The government decided the last year that it was very, very good to have a national register for all the license that we have in Spain. And what happens sometimes when we go to the register to obtain that number, the license is not correct, because sometimes you make the license yourself by yourself in internet, you understand that is correct and everything, say, because 2 years ago we didn't have any regulation about this, but now when we go to the register, we are having and we are discovering a lot of problems. Like, imagine your property has two rooms, and you say that it's possible to put 7 person in the house. 2 years ago, we don't have any problem. We didn't have any problem, but now the register say this is not correct. So we have to make the modification in the license and then go to the register. So this number is very, very important, and we are having discovering some problems sometimes to obtain it, because some license that we have before it was not correctly.
Mm. And there are regional licenses as well, aren't they? But this doesn't replace these.
Yeah, because 5 years or 10 years ago, you make a declaration, official declaration by yourself in the Junta de Andalucía. You obtain just a number to put the property in any yeah, the internet and everything. But now the regulation is very, very strict. So we are having some difference between the license, the situation that isn't real. So the register is very strict to say, no, you have to change your license, you have to make a new declaration, and then I will give you the number. So it's more control.
Yes, yes, and the notes you gave me said you basically you've got all of these layers that you've got to get through, haven't you? And that's the way that you've got to think.
I think that if I can say, it's not difficult and it's not impossible. It's the only situation that we have is now is more regulation. So we have to take more control. We have to take more care because many years ago we didn't have anything, so everything was super easy, and now we have more complication. But with a lawyer and good legal advice, you can obtain your national number register.
I do remember from years and years ago, from decades ago, Spain had a reputation for everything being so difficult, all different regions, different rules, and the pieces of paperwork weren't all registered in the same place, and
Exactly.
people would, and then families would, the father would pass on, and then properties would be split between many different people, and yeah, so I can see why the whole country needs to bring all of it together into one system. Yeah.
With more control and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So tell us about the most common mistakes that are getting people into trouble.
I think that sometimes I'm finding that it's normal, obviously, that the people say, I think that this is very easy. I can do by myself. I will go to the website of Junta de Andalucía, for example, and I think that I can do it. And then always, 100%, you are going to call me in 1 or 2 months because you are having some problems. You are not going to get the national registration number. You are going to have any problem with the Junta de Andalucía about the license, because I think that the law is more complicated. The process is not very easy. Sometimes you doesn't understand what they say. Before to do this, we had many meetings with the registers, with the calls with the Junta de Andalucía, just to know what's the proper process and everything. So I think this is a very good common mistake, that everybody thinks that it's easy and they can go alone to do.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the
Or for example, sorry
Yeah.
if I interrupted. Or for example, if you are buying the property, the seller normally send you typical license, and you say, okay, the property has a license. No. Let me check if that license is correct, if that license is going to go to the register, if we can use it or not, because sometimes obviously the seller wants to sell and say, okay, it's perfect. So I think that we need to confirm what's the situation that we have.
Yes, and you mentioned something about when you're calling a rental seasonal or tourism.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mistake some people make.
Okay, we have three type of rental contract in Spain. One is touristic, one is short term in Andalusia, and the other one is long term. In Andalusia, because depend on the community where you are, in Andalusia we have is 1 month or less is touristic, more than 1 month until 11 months is short term, and after 12 months and 1 year is long term.
Okay.
This is the difference of the law and the regulation. It's totally different depend on the purpose that you have.
Ah, I see. So they could be advertising with the wrong kind of registration.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they check, don't they?
Yeah, because I think that the government wants to put more properties in the market for long term. So they think that making a lot of regulation and control and everything, they can have more properties in the market for long term. So I think this is the
That's the plan. Yeah,
is the plan. I think.
yeah. We'll see what happens with that. I hope it works.
I
So
think
that's. Let's see. I think that's answered all of that question. Have we said enough about the rentals? Shall we move on to taxes? Do you think we've covered everything there? Yes, I think so. You've covered it in the notes. Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic, and that's we're still talking about property and rental taxation. So, what surprises foreign owners the most about the tax system, property tax?
Okay, with the property tax, we have when you buy a property in Spain, you have the EB, that is the property tax that you have to pay. Normally, you pay per year, and normally it's in direct debit in your bank account. The rubbish tax is the same. Normally, you pay one or two per year, depend on the town council. And this is the typical tax that you have in the property. Then we have two type of tax. One is if you are resident, tax resident, or if you are non-tax resident. What's the problem that we discover sometimes? One is that when you buy the property, sometimes the people doesn't know that you have to pay the EB and the rubbish. And imagine you want to sell the property 10 years later, and apart and there you have a debt with the tax office about with a very big amount, because you obviously you didn't know anything about that tax. Okay, and then if you are non-resident in Spain and you have one property here, you have to pay one tax. Okay, is the non-resident tax, and normally you pay in December of the year. Okay, another point is if you are renting that property, you have to pay the non-resident tax, but obviously it's different because you are receiving some incomes from that property. So the deadline for that non-resident tax is 30th of January, okay, of the next year.
Yep.
If you are a resident tax, obviously it's the same. You are going to pay the tax resident here, and you have to make the declaration for the properties that you have. If you are renting that property and you are receiving some incomes from that property, obviously you are going to pay a tax for that. But it's very important that, because I have many clients that now maybe it's for another matter, and I would check with them. Have you make the declaration the last year for the non-resident taxes? Say, Charisse, I didn't know anything about this. I thought that if I don't rent my property, I'm not tax resident, I don't have to make any declaration. And you have to make the declaration, and you have to pay. It's a minimum, or it's not a big amount, but you have to pay some tax if you have a property in Spain. So obviously, our legal advice is always make a consultation about your tax situation in Spain. If you are tax resident or not, just make the consultation if your EB and the Rabbit is in your bank account directly, or if you are paying by credit card, or if you know if that tax is in your name, and obviously the non-resident tax.
Okay, then. So for non-resident properties, then there's three pillars, aren't there? There's the IBI, the local tax, and then the non-resident income tax. That's
normally when you are going to sell the property, if you are non-resident, the buyer of that property has the obligation to hold from the price 3% from the price to make the declaration in your name for non-residents in the tax office. Later, obviously, your lawyers with all the charge that you had, invoice of the notary, invoice of the taxation, invoice of your lawyer, everything, you have to make the final declaration of that non-resident tax for that sale in Spain. But this is obligatory.
okay then. And is that when you do it? That's Modelo 210, is it?
What?
Is that the Modelo 210? That you file the tax? No.
No. This is totally different, because this is a model that you need to do every year. But we are talking that you have to do it this every year. This tax declaration, that is the non-resident. But when you sell the property, it's totally normal, because I have clients that say, I don't understand why the buyer has a 3% from the price. It's obligatory to keep that money in your name and put in the tax office, and then you have to make like the final declaration for that sale.
Okay, I think I get that.
No, it's complicated because obviously I think that every country has a different tax system. So I think that you need a legal advice about all of that, because if not, it's totally new.
Yes.
And the deduction of the expense that you can have from your non-resident tax. If you are renting, for example, you can deduct the water, electricity, the community of property, a lot of charge that maybe the people doesn't know.
Okay. So how does taxation change then if the property is rented out?
There is a very good point now, because before of the last year that we had an important resolution from a very important court, we had a difference from community of European community, or if you are from UK, USA, or non-European country. So now it's a similar deduction that you have if you are from European country, or if you are from UK, USA. So this is a very, very good, because sometimes the last year or 2 years ago, when you want to make your declaration, if you are receiving, this is very good point if you are making some incomes with the property. If you rent the property, you can make a deduction of some expense that before you can't. This is very, very good. So because before last year we had like European country are very very good. You can make a very good deduction of the spends. You can put many things into your declaration. But if you are from another country, the third country, what they say, you can't do anything. It was a very very strict. But now, after that regulation, now yes, we have a very good similar situation with the European Union. So I think that this is a good point to know, to have all the spends that you have and check if you can't make a deduction from your declaration.
Right. Yeah. So I suppose it's important you don't copy your friend's tax setup because it's never going to be the same as what you've got.
No, 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 no. And now with the problem that we have, obviously the IE is perfect and is magnificent, the ChatGPT and everything. And no, but there are a lot of mistakes that I think that we have to check personally with each person the situation that they have to know what spends you can deduct, what the situation, if you have to pay, if you're not, if you have to make the declaration or not.
Great. Are there any the recent tax changes? Tell us about those that people should know about.
We have the news that we have in the taxes. We have a lot of change. Obviously now it's a small process that we have changed, and before you can put 3 months and now it's different. It's a big compliance. So I think that before to do like the situation that you had before, now it's better to check the situation that you have with a taxes expert, obviously, to know in what situation you are and how do you have to do your declaration of the tax. We have
Right.
many tax, Andres, in Spain. I don't know in UK, but here we have many tax, and sometimes everybody doesn't know. So I think that it's important from CPG. We are going to put in Instagram, Facebook, all the tags and the deadline that we have, just to clarify, to inform. In our blog, we have the information, trying to avoid that the person doesn't know the tax, and we they can have obviously problems with fines and everything.
Yeah, I've heard quite a lot on social media of people saying that,
Yeah,
they've had
obviously,
property for years and they're not resident, and they just
exactly.
didn't know they had to file. So yeah.
Or if, for example, if you are resident here in Spain, but maybe you stay here for 1 year, you don't know a lot of the situation and the tax that you have to do. Now, for
Yeah.
example, we are making a new the tax for if you are a tax resident in Spain, but what happens if you have assets in another country? Depend on the situation, you have the obligation to make the declaration before of 3rd of March.
Yeah. So tell us about the biggest tax mistakes you see in practice. Give us the classic ones.
The classic that I found is the people that buy bought a property and they didn't know anything about the EB and rubbish and the tax typical from the property. So they have a big, no big or depend on the property, but a big amount of debts with the tax council. And obviously, when you are going to sell, you say, "Oh my God, now I have to pay that amount that I didn't expect." Another one is the non-resident. They didn't know anything about the non-resident tax. So now, for example, we have to make the declaration for the last 4 years. You have until 4 years to make everything clear. So this is the other one that sometimes when you buy, nobody said nothing about you have to pay tax if you don't rent the property. Also, you have to pay a tax, and you have to make the declaration. Or for example, now with the residents, if you are coming to be resident in Spain because you are retired or you are working from here with the digital nomad visa, and you have a property in another country, or you have a bank account in another country, you have the obligation to make the declaration, because now I think that the countries are giving more information between them, so they are going to have information, and then we are going to have problems, fines, and everything.
So, and there's also people not filing their taxes because they didn't make a profit.
Yeah, because sometimes you think that you have to pay tax if you receive profit from that property. In that case, I didn't rent the property. Yeah, I know, but you have to make the declaration in the same situation. So it's, if not only if you are receiving money from that property directly for the tax office in Spain, if you have a property for Spanish and for non-resident, obviously, for them, it's a special that you have some money in that property, and you have to pay tax.
Excellent. So, anything else that people need to know about the tax before we move on to the immigration amnesty? I think we've covered most of the questions there. Yeah, anything you can see? No?
Obviously, if the people has the question later, or maybe the after dinner or something like this, always comes an animal to our office, and I will reply as soon as
Yes.
I can.
That's a very good idea. Yes, because
Yeah, because sometimes now with the tax and everything, it's like, oh my God, I have a lot of information.
yeah, it fills my head up in the evening, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think most people will be watching this back afterwards, so that they can
Yes.
go forwards and backwards and re-listen. So yes, there's a comment just come up here. The Aussie X. Let's see. I own a property in Barcelona and recently moved to Bulgaria for tax reasons, so I'm not a resident in Spain anymore. The property isn't rented out. Is there anything I should look out for?
Yes, of course. We were talking about this. If you have that property in your name now, I don't know when he left to Bulgaria, but obviously he needs to make the declaration as a tax resident, obviously when he was a tax resident. And now, if you are not going to be more tax resident in Spain, you need to make the declaration for that property.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't sell the property.
Okay, so there's going to be a kind of a crossover period between residence tax and non-residence tax.
We have that difference.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that question. I hope that answers your question. But if you do have any more, then get in contact with Charisse, and you can get clarification on that. It sounds like there is going to be more questions than answers in answer to the question, if you know what I mean. So let's move on then to the immigration amnesty, which is a big topic at the moment. Let's zip through this one fairly quickly. We've only got about 20 minutes of the show left, but we did cover a lot of this. So if we don't actually get through all of the questions, then I might make another video which just goes through all of these points and using Charisse's notes that she's already given me, and we'll make sure that you can get proper answers on those, or you can contact Charisse directly. Oh, we do have another message in the live chat from Peter Green. Might be worth mentioning that you are resident in Spain but rent out a property abroad, then you are liable to tax on the profit in Spain. Yes, that's true as well, isn't it?
Isn't it that you are resident in Spain but rent out a property abroad?
So if you've got a property in the UK, for example,
Yes.
and you're making money from it.
Yes, this tax is we have to make the application for this tax before 3 of March. So now we are moving on that, because not always you have to make that declaration, or not always you have to pay. But I think that is very important to study the personal situation on, obviously it's one, to see if we have to make the this declaration. This is very
Definitely.
important. Yes.
Yes, thank you for that, Peter. So yeah, anybody got more questions? Do put them in the live chat quickly while we'll move on anyway to the immigration amnesty. So, but we can always come back to answer questions about taxation and rentals. So, Charisse, this immigration amnesty, this extraordinary regularisation, as it's called, for 2026. First of all, is the amnesty actually approved?
Well, this is a very, very good question. It's approved. It's announced by the government, but it's not working at the moment. Okay, it's coming. I hope in force in April of 26. So we have to wait tomorrow 2 months more, and obviously we need more information, because now the only information that we have is, that when they have like the principal points, but we need to study very good this position, because I think that this residents will be very good for many people that it's here from UK, and they lost the residence after Brexit, because they lost, or they didn't know that they had to change for the green card, imagine. Or for example, I have clients with the golden visa that they couldn't apply for the golden visa, or we have many people that I think that we can do with this residence permit. So I hope to make a lot of application of that.
It sounds like, if you read the papers, it's all immigrants from Latin America and from North Africa that are going to be applying for this. But you think there's going to be a lot of people from Britain as well?
Obviously, because my clients are not normally from Latin America or South Africa. I have many clients here with problem with the golden visa, clients from UK that they had problem after Brexit. But they are living here, I don't know the time. So I hope to put their people in this situation.
Great. So, well, this next question is similar to that. Who is this regularisation aimed at? To be precise, it's people who are already living in Spain.
Sorry, I lost you. Can you repeat?
Yes, of course. Who is this regularisation aimed at? It's people who are already living here, isn't it?
It's living here for 5 years before the 31st of December. So
Yeah.
obviously it's for the people that is living here, and it's like tax resident, because if you have not been here more than 6 months, it's very difficult to make this application. Okay, this is very important. It's very good if you, for example, have childrens, because it's going to affect, or directly we can make the application for your children's. The requirements at the moment, we don't know a lot of things, but is obviously doesn't have criminal records to prove the 5 years living in Spain. So this is important. It's not possible if you have travel a lot per year, and I think that it will be very simple. It's like arraigo. Before of this, we had the arraigo social, that is 3 years. You can prove that you can have a job. You don't have criminal record, and in this case, you don't need to prove that you have a job, but you can work. That is very important, because sometimes, for example, with the non-lucrative visa, you can work. With this residence permit, you can work here. Will be very good for your children's. obviously I think that we have to prove that you are empadronado aquí with the empadronamiento in the tax in the hall. So I think that could be very good for many people that is here, and maybe it's has thought for people from Latin America or South Africa, but I think that it could be very good for more people.
Great. So the important reference date is the 31st of December 2025. So you must show that you were in Spain then, or actually before that date. It's really, you've got to be in, several months before that date. Because at the moment you apply, you need to prove at least 5 months of continuous stay.
Yeah.
So if you applied now, then you've got to have been here since, let's see, January, December, November, October, September. The 9th of September would be 5 months from now.
You have to. No. The 5 years is before.
The 5 months, is that?
It's before of 31st of December.
Oh, I see. Okay, then.
I think that is is June. I think that
June.
is June.
Okay.
June.
That's something we were trying to work out last week when we were talking about it with Chris.
Or June. I think that is June, or we have to calculate 5 months, but it's more or less June or July. More or less, because it's 5 months before 31st of December.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad that's clarified.
Yeah.
We've have had people asking about that. So let's see, and you've made in your little notes here that you sent me, the philosophy is simple. Spain is regularizing an existing reality, not opening a new migration channel, which is one of the things that the papers have been getting wrong, and that people are commenting on social media are getting wrong, saying that yes, anybody can come now and they can just get in and they can be regularized, but that's not true.
But if I can say something, obviously it's a very good time before of April, because obviously I imagine that we are going to have a lot of applications. So I imagine that the immigration office will be totally collapsed. So my recommendation is collect all the documents in that time. For example, the criminal record, sometimes you need time to get it. Remember, it's not possible to have a criminal record with more than 6 months because it expired the deadline. We need to make the apostilla. We need to make the translation by a sworn translator. We need to prove that 5 months sometimes is not very easy to find all the proof that we need. So it's very good this 2 months to prepare all the documents, and if we can, to make the application in the beginning of the April, as soon as obviously as we can, because I mind that the immigration office will be very collapsed with this residence permit. It's logical.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of immigrants in Spain that they want to do like this.
Yes, we've seen queues outside consulates and people trying to collect especially the criminal records check, because that can take quite a while to come through. So,
empadronamientos, because sometimes, for example, in Estepona, it's like 3 months for the empadronamiento sometimes. So I think that is very good. If everybody has any question, we can have a video call, a meeting, just to clarify the documents that we need at the moment, and try to collect with time and make the application before of the beginning. And one point is because I have some time now that I'm receiving from this law, and when I check the documents, I say, look, you have a better option than this one, because sometimes the people doesn't know. So I think that if you think that your situation in Spain at the moment is not regular, check with the lawyer, because sometimes we can do something and could be this law, but could be another permit.
Absolutely, yes. So we've gone through a lot of the questions already. I think you've given the answer to that. How does this affect families and children? You've already mentioned that you can regularize the family as well. That's been very important. And the key
For 1 year. It's
for
for
1
one
year.
year, and then obviously we can make the renovation. You can work, and it's very important if someone is in the situation of asilo in Spain. You can, because before of this, if you are in asilo situation, you can't apply for another type of residence. So you are like in the middle or limbo situation. But with this new permit, you can also go ahead with that if you are in asilo.
That's very handy.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, so if someone is approved, they get a resident authorization for 1 year, and that allows them to work as well.
Exactly, and that's very good. And your family, obviously, we have to prove. For example, it's important to collect, if you have children, the birth certificate, the marriage certificate also, and make the apostilla. So we have to collect some documents. So it's better to have time to do it.
Yes, and so those things to build your story on paper is what you mentioned in your notes, and to provide continuity. So what are the documents? So there's padronamiento, medical records, school letters, invoices,
All
bank
the
movements.
documents, payments that you can have, invoice, and obviously if the children are in the school, the certificate from the school, everything that we can have obviously is better. As much as we can prove, always is better.
Absolutely. Excellent. So any final warnings to give about this process?
I think that the best option is to have the legal advice before everything, because as I told you, I have client with situation that they thought that okay, I want to apply this residence, but we can have another option that maybe are easier. And before to apply for this to this residence permit, to have all the documents correct. Before of that, obviously it's better to have the legal advice, because if not, you lose the time, you lose sometimes the cost. Imagine the criminal records expire, and then you have to get again, you have to make the apostilla, you have to make the translation. So I think if you make step by step, always it's better and easier and cheaper.
Yeah. Don't improvise is the
Yeah, I
advice.
think that
Yeah.
it's better to do directly, and it's better because you are going to have your resident permit. You can't work, and it's very good.
Yeah. Excellent. And you mentioned don't rely on social media.
Social media and the ChatGPT, because now we have a big problem. It's very good, but it's sometimes it's big problem because you can be confused, but by the information that the ChatGPT give you, and you can lose money, you can lose time, illusion.
Yeah. So yeah, preparation is the key. I think
Exactly.
that's the way, and I think that's a perfect place to start to wrap things up. Unless anybody has any questions, there've not been a lot of questions on the live chat today. I'm imagining that people are going to be watching this one back and rewinding and going back over the details to get their head around it. So everybody, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you to those of you who have joined us, even whether you've been on the live chat or not, or if you're listening back afterwards. It really means a lot to us. It wouldn't be the same without you. So, and we'll wrap up now because I don't think there's going to be any more on the live chat this evening. So everybody give a big virtual kiss and a hug to our wonderful guest, Charisse from CPG Abogados. And I'm sure we'll see you again in the very near future. So thanks very much, Charisse.
Thank you, Andrew. I
Bye bye
hope
for
to
now.
see you again. Bye bye.
Excellent. Bye bye. So, who do we have on next Monday? Well, of course, it is Chris from Upsticks. He'll be back with us. I think he's with us for the next 2 weeks. So, if you join the YouTooSpain Facebook community group or the public page to find out what the main topic will be for next week's show and for the one after, that we'll be answering questions about. I think we'll be pre-recording the show in 2 weeks' time, because I think it's a holiday. So, in the meantime, somebody pass around the legal cookies, and peas and fluff to all of you, my amigos. I'll leave you all with a message from all of the voices in my head at YouTooSpain, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Wave goodbye, lads. Bye.
Goodbye. Toodaloo.
Peace and love.
Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
One more cosmic dance?
All right then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.